शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। Namaste. Now we will see the meaning of Shri Vishnu Sahasranama based on Shri Shankaracharya Bhashya for verse 63. First, we will see the verse. Shubhanga Shanti Dasrashta Kumudah Kuvaleshayah Gohito Gopatir Gopta Vrishabhaksho Vrishapriyah. The namas herein are Shubhangaha, Shantidah, Srashta, Kumudah, Kuvaleshayah, Gohitah, Gopatihi, Gopta, Vrishabhakshaha, Vrishapriyah. There are 10 namas herein. We will see the meanings of each of these one by one. The first nama is Shubhangaha. Sundarim Tanum Dharayan Shubhangaha. The one who is endowed with a beautiful physical form. Shubha Anga. Anga is limbs, limbs of the body. Shubha, which are beautiful, which are auspicious. So the very form of Bhagavan Narayana with Shankha, Chakra, Gada and the Neelamegha Shyamavarna. So all these are very beautiful and worth meditating upon, and hence Bhagavan Narayana in his Saguna Swarupa is celebrated by this nama Shubhanga, and he is also called in the Shastras as Shubha Ashraya, Shubhashraya. The next nama is Shantidaha. Ragadveshadi nirmoksha Shantim Dadatiti. The one who grants peace that is characterized by freedom from passion and hatred. So Shanti Daha. So Daha is the one who grants or the one who gives. So what does he grant? Shanti, peace. So the one who grants the peace is Shanti Daha. Now how do we understand Shanti, and when is the real Shanti achieved? When is the real peace achieved? So that is explained by Acharya. Ragadveshadi nirmoksha lakshanam. Only when a person is free from raga and dvesha. Raga is desire, attachment, passion, and dvesha is hatred. So only a person who is free from raga and dvesha, he can be peaceful. And the meditation upon Bhagavan Narayana, the surrender to Bhagavan Narayana, delivers us, frees us from raga and dvesha, and through that a person attains pure, complete, real peace. And hence Bhagavan, who grants such peace, is Shantidaha. The next nama is Srashta. Sargadau Sarvabhutani Sasarjeti. The one who created all the beings in the beginning of creation. So Srashta means the creator. So we see the manifestation of Bhagavan as a Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta and Samharakarta. The one who creates, the one who sustains, and also the one who dissolves the creation. So here the creation manifestation, the creator manifestation of Bhagavan in the form of Brahma is celebrated through the term Srashta. The next nama is Kumudaha. Kau Bhumyam Modata iti Kumudaha. The one who is happy in Bhumi, the earth, is Kumudaha. So here the word Kumudaha has two components, ku and muda. Ku in Sanskrita refers to bhumi, the earth, and muda refers to moda, that is happiness. So kumuda refers to the one who is happy in the earth. So what is this? What does this indicate? The one thing, one interpretation or one understanding can be the Jivatma is in the earth. Paramatman, Lord Narayana, is in Vaikuntha. So, as a Jivatman who is happy in the earth, enjoying various pleasures of the world, so the Jivatman aspect of Lord Narayana can be taken as Kumuda. The Jivatma Swarupa can be taken as Kumuda, or the other interpretation can be the Bhagavan is happy with his consort Bhumi Devi. We see that Bhagavan Narayana has Bhudevi and Shri Devi as his consorts. So the one who is happy in Bhumi, so in his consort Bhumi Devi, the one who is happy. So Lord Narayana, the Paramatman himself. So in this way, the word Kumuda can either mean the Jivatman who is enjoying the worldly happiness in the earth, or it is the Paramatman who has the Bhumi Devi as his consort and who is happy with her. The next nama is Kuvaleshayaha. There are a few interpretations to this term. Now let's consider the first interpretation. Koho kshitehe valanat samsaranat kuvalam jalam tasmin shete iti kuvaleshayah. So as it encircles the earth, the kuvala is water. The one who rests in the water is kuvaleshaya. So here again, ku, vala, shaya are the three components. From for this interpretation, we see the word kuvaleshaya in three parts, has been taken in three parts by Sri Shankaracharya. So ku again means earth, and vala means that which encircles, and then shaya means the one who rests. So first kuvala, let's consider the term kuvala, combination of ku and vala. So what is that which encircles the earth? We see that the world is encircled by the water of the great oceans. So kuvala refers to the waters that cover the entire world. So kuvala, and then kuvale shayaha, the one who rests, or who stays in the water, he is kuvale shayaha. Who is that? So probably this refers to the Kurmavatara, where Bhagavan in the form of Kurma is happy, or the one who stays or rests in the water as a Kurmavatara Swarupa. We can see the interpretation of the term Kuvale Shayaha. Now we see the second interpretation. Kuvalasya badari phalasya madhye shete takshakaha sopi tasya vibhutiriti va harihi kuvaleshayaha. Again, kuvala is taken as one word here. So kuvala refers to the badari phala. So badari phalasya madhye shete, the one who resides among the badari, the jujube fruits, the takshaka, he is also a manifestation of Hari. So the jujube fruits are called as the badari phala. In Tamil we call it as the ilandai fruit. So the one who uh, is among the badari fruits in the trees. So who is that? Normally the very poisonous, venomous takshaka sarpa, the snake takshaka, rests among the badari fruits and the badari tree. So such venomous Takshaka is also another manifestation of Bhagavan Hari, Bhagavan Narayana. So, in that sense, Kuvale in the Badari fruits, among the Badari fruits, and among the Badari tree, the one who rests the Takshaka Sarpa is another manifestation, and that is the second interpretation of Bhagavan, the term Kuvaleshaya. Now, the third interpretation, Kau Bhumyam Valate Samshrayate iti Sarpanam Udaram Kuvalam Tasmin Sheshodare Shete iti Kuvaleshayaha. Okay. So, here again, the word Kuvala is taken in two parts, Ku and Vala. Ku is earth and Valate means that which moves about. So, Kuvala means that which moves about on the earth. So, what is that? So, when the reptile, the snake, moves about, its udara, its abdomen, always is supported or always touches the earth. So, the Kuvala then refers to that which is always supported by the earth. So, which is Sarpanam Udaram, the abdominal region, the Udara of the Sarpa is Kuvala. And then Kuvale Shayaha, the one who rests on the abdomen of the snake. For example, when we see in Vaikuntha, it is on the abdomen of Sheshanaga upon which Bhagavan Narayana is resting, and as an umbrella, the hood of the Sheshanaga is there protecting or giving an umbrella to uh, Bhagavan Narayana. One should imagine that, one should bring to mind that. So, the one who reclines on the abdomen, the Kuvala of the great Adishesha, he is Kuvaleshayaha. So Adishesha becomes the bed. The abdomen region of Adishesha becomes the bed of the one, the Bhagavan Narayana. So he is Kuvaleshayaha. So in this way, the Kurmavatara is brought about through the first interpretation. Next, the Takshaka manifestation of Bhagavan is brought about by the second interpretation. And then the Shesha Shayi form of Bhagavan is brought about by the third interpretation to the term Kuvaleshayaha. The sixth nama is Gohitaha. Here also there are a couple of interpretations. We will see the first interpretation. Gavam Vridhyartham Govardhanam Dhrutavaniti Gobhyaha Hitaha Gohitaha. For the nourishment of the cows, the one who held the Govardhana aloft, the benefactor of the cows. So here Go Hita are the two components of the word Gohitaha. So Hita means the benefactor. Benefactor of whom? Go or the cows. So the one who is the benefactor of the cows. How was Bhagavan Narayana the benefactor of the cows? In his Krishna Avatara, he himself was Gopala. He was tending, taking care of the Gomata, the cows. And not only that, for the protection of them, for ensuring the nourishment of them, he even held aloft the Govardhana, and he even encouraged the worship of Govardhana through which the cows are nourished. So ensure that there is enough herbs, enough plants for the cows to graze. So the one who did the great deed of encouraging the worship of the nature in the form of Govardhana, so that it is very beneficial for the cows. So he is the benefactor. Such benefactor of the cows is Gohitaha. The next interpretation, Goho Bhumehe Bharavatarana Ichaya Shariragrahanam Kurvanva Gohitaha. desirous of reducing the load of earth, the one who takes bodily form. So here also Go Hitaha, the benefactor of Go. But the term Go here refers not to the cows, rather the word Gauhu also means Bhumi. Gachati iti Gauhu, that which constantly rotates about or constantly keeps moving. So that is Gauhu, Bhumihi. And how was Bhagavan Narayana the benefactor, or how is Bhagavan Narayana the benefactor of the Gauhu or Bhumi? Bhumehe Bhara Avatarana Ichaya. So Bhubhara, those evil, negative, adharmic forces are a burden on the earth. To reduce that burden, to eradicate the evil, to decimate the negative tendencies and annihilate the evil, the adharmic forces, Bhagavan Sharira Grahanam Kurvan, he incarnated in the form of Rama, Krishna, Parashurama, and all his incarnations are for the well-being or for ensuring the hita or the benefit of the earth. And in this sense, he is Go Hita, the benefactor of the earth. The next nama is Gopatihi. Goho Bhumyaha Patihi, the consort of Bhumi Devi. Go here refers to Bhumi and Pati, the consort. So the Bhudevi Pati, the lord or the consort of Bhumi Mata or Bhudevi, here is glorified by the term Gopatihi. As he is Shripati, he is also Gopati. The eighth nama is Gopta. There are a couple of interpretations here. The first one, Rakshakaha Jagataha iti Gopta, the protector of the world. So Gopta. Gopta in Sanskrita generally means the one who protects. It is derived from the root Gupu Rakshane. So Gupu is the root which itself points to protection. So the one who protects, Gopta. So what does he protect? Whom does he protect? Jagataha, of the entire world. He is the protector and hence he is Gopta. The second interpretation is Swamayaya Swatmanam Samvrunoti Tiva Gopta. By his Maya, the one who conceals himself. So in the second interpretation, Gopta refers to concealing himself, so protecting himself, not revealing himself. So protecting also means concealing and not revealing, so that shade of meaning is also there. Using that shade of meaning, the second interpretation is given, the Bhagavan who conceals himself, who does not reveal himself easily. How does he conceal himself? He conceals himself with the Maya. Daivi Hyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. That's how it has been stated in the Bhagavad Gita. So the Maya, which is made up of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, because of the interplay, it keeps the human beings, the jivatmans, distracted in its activities, and hence by that the pure nature or Bhagavan is concealed away. We are diverted by the gunas and the Maya, so we are unable to perceive the Paramatman. So how to then perceive the concealed indwelling Paramatman within us? Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. Those who surrender to me. So by surrendering, by developing the attitude of surrendering to Bhagavan Narayana, naturally the influence of Maya can be overcome. So Ishvara Pranidhana is the path that is prescribed to unravel the inherent indwelling Gopta Paramatman. The next nama is Vrishabhakshaha. Here also there are a couple of interpretations. Sakalan Kaman Varushuke Akshini Asyeti. The one whose eyes shower all desires. So Vrishabha Aksha are the two components for this first interpretation. We see, so Vrishabha means Sakalan Kaman Varshuke. Vrishabha refers to Varshati iti Vrishabha, that which showers. So, what is that which showers? Aksha, Akshini, the two beautiful eyes. The two beautiful eyes of the Paramatman is called as or described as Vrishabha, that which showers. What does it shower? All that is desired by the human beings. Sakalan Kaman. All that we desire is showered by the beautiful eyes of the Paramatman, in the sense that the devotee who is focused, who meditates upon the benevolent, beautiful eyes of Bhagavan Narayana, so he attains all that is desired in his life. So meditation upon Narayana, Bhagavan Narayana's form, especially the two beautiful eyes, the Pushkaraksha, the Kamalaksha, the Kamalanayana of Bhagavan Narayana, is glorified through the term Vrishabhaksha. That's the first interpretation. And then the second interpretation, Vrishabho Dharmaha Saeva va Drishtirashyeti. This is a beautiful, deeper concept that is presented through the second interpretation. The meaning is the one whose eyes are Dharma. So, Vrishabha Aksha. So we also see in Samskrita, Purana, Vedic literature that Vrishabha also refers to Dharma. It is the by adhering to the path of Dharma only, or the one who adheres to the path of Dharma, so he is showered with all the desires in his life. So Dharma is also the one that showers all that is required uh, in a very beneficial manner for a human being. So Dharma is also Vrishabha, and that Dharma is his eyes. The Dharma is the two eyes of Bhagavan Narayana. In the sense, how does Bhagavan evaluate, or how does Bhagavan see his devotees? Bhagavan sees his devotees, or evaluates his devotees, or considers the value of his devotee through the eyes, which is Dharma. Means Bhagavan, along with the devotion of the devotee, also sees whether the devotee is focused or is steadfast in the path of Dharma. A person who is adharmic and but a devotee may not be dear. Yomad bhakta same priyah. So a person may be devoted to Bhagavan, but without adhering to Dharma, like Ravana, he was a devotee of Shiva, but he did not follow the path of Dharma. So he was not dear to the Lord. So in the same way, devotion is essential, and following the path of Dharma is also essential. So they are the two eyes through which Bhagavan sees his devotees, and he grants all the desires to the devotees who are both devoted and also steadfast in the path of Dharma. So in the name of devotion, one should not let go one's own Swadharma, Kuladharma, Samaja Dharma, and Rashtra Dharma. So that is emphasized by the term Vrishabhaksha in its second interpretation. The 10th nama is Vrishapriyaha. Here again there are a couple of interpretations. First one is Vrisho Dharmaha Priyaha Yasya Saha Vrishapriyaha. The one to whom Dharma is dear. So actually this is a continuation, it seems, to the second interpretation that is given. So in the first interpretation to Vrishapriya, we see the continuation of thought of the second interpretation to the term Vrishabhaksha. What do we see here? Vrusha and Priya are the two components. Vrusha or Vrishabha refers to dharma, the meaning of it we saw, and then Priya means which is very dear. So Bhagavan is the one to whom dharma is very dear. We saw previously that along with devotion, dharma is important for every devotee. One has to adhere to swadharma. So for this is emphasized more here when Acharya Shankara says that the one to whom dharma is very important. So Bhagavan always sees how well his devotees follow their respective dharma. The second interpretation is Vrishashchasau Priyashcheti va. The one who is Vrisha and the one who is endearing. So Vrisha, we have already seen that refers to dharma, vrisha, and priya means lovable or endearing. So the Bhagavan is the manifestation of dharma himself, and he is also lovable, adorable, worth meditating. So that idea is presented through the second interpretation. Vrishashchasau priyascheti vrishapriyaha. The lovable, endearing embodiment of dharma. So with these 10 namas in verse 63, we have thus far seen 595 namas. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.